The blood came first. Annabelle Hartley pressed her hand against the knife wound in her side vision, blurring as the little girl screamed her name. Not Miss. Not Ma'am. Mama. Behind them, the man with dead eyes raised his blade again. She'd come to Montana as the wrong bride to the wrong ranch meant for a man who didn't exist. But this child, this silent, broken child who hadn't spoken in 3 years, had called her Mama. And Annabelle would die before she let anyone take that away. But let's go back to where it started. Before we begin, if you love stories of second chances on the wild frontier where broken hearts find healing and love arrives when you least expect it, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell. Stay until the very end to see how this impossible love changes 3 lives forever, and comment below with your city. I want to see how far this story travels across America. Now let's ride. Montana Territory, December 1873. The stagecoach driver wouldn't look at her when he dropped her trunk in the snow. "You sure about this, ma'am?" He shifted his wide eyes, darting toward the dark shape of the ranch house barely visible through the blizzard. "Ain't too late to turn back to Fort Morgan. Storm's coming in mean tonight." Annabelle Hartley pulled her wool cloak tighter, fingers numb even through her gloves. Behind them, the horses stamped anxiously, breath steaming white in the bitter air. "I'm expected," she said, voice steadier than she felt. "Mr. Carter is waiting for me." The driver spat tobacco into the snow. "If you say so." He climbed back onto his seat without helping her with the trunk. "Good luck to you." The stagecoach disappeared into the white curtain of falling snow before she could change her mind. Annabelle stood alone in the middle of nowhere, trunk at her feet, the Missouri Matrimonial Agency's letter clutched in her hand. The paper was soft from being read too many times during the 3-week journey west. "Dear Miss Hartley, Mr. Jacob Carter, of Red Bluff Ranch, Montana Territory, has accepted your application for matrimony. He is a widower of good standing, owner of substantial property, seeking a woman of moral character to help manage his household. Stage passage has been arranged." This wasn't just a spare room, it was a shrine. A sound made her freeze. Breathing. 5 or 6 years old, wearing a flannel nightgown 3 sizes too big. Dark hair hung in tangles past her shoulders. Her feet were bare toes curled against the cold floor. But it was her eyes that struck Annabelle like a fist to the chest. Enormous brown eyes empty of light. The eyes of someone who'd seen too much. "Hello," Annabelle whispered, kneeling slowly. "My name's Annabelle. What's yours?" The child didn't respond, didn't even blink. "I'm sorry if I startled you. Your father didn't mention you were in here." She kept her voice soft, gentle, the way she'd spoken to frightened soldiers during the war. "I won't hurt you. I promise." Nothing. The girl stared through her like looking at a ghost. Annabelle's heart ached. She'd seen that look before in the field hospitals. Shell shock, they'd called it. When someone's mind went somewhere the body couldn't follow. "Lily." Garrett's voice came from the doorway, rough with something that might have been grief. "Come here, girl." The child stood mechanically and walked past Annabelle without a glance. She stopped beside her father, and he put his hand on her shoulder, awkward, like he wasn't sure how to touch her. "She don't talk," he said, answering the question Annabelle hadn't asked. "Hasn't said a word since—" He stopped, started over. "Since her mother died. Doctor says there's nothing wrong with her physically, just chooses not to speak." Annabelle stood slowly. "How did your wife die, Mr. Bishop?" His jaw clenched. "Accident. Out riding horse threw her. Broke her neck." The words came out rehearsed, hollow. "Lily found her." "Dear God." Annabelle pressed her hand to her mouth. "Yeah, well." He guided Lily toward the door. "You need anything, holler. But don't expect conversation. We keep to ourselves here." They left, and Annabelle was alone in the dead woman's room, surrounded by her things, her scent still faint in the fabric of the nightgown. She sank onto the bed and let herself shake. This was wrong. All of it. She'd come here to marry a man who didn't exist, to a ranch where a ghost still lived in every corner, where a hollow-eyed child wandered like a sleepwalker, and a broken man pretended to be whole. She should leave in the morning, take his offer, go back to Fort Morgan, figure something out. But as she lay down on the bed, still wearing her travel clothes, because she couldn't bring herself to undress in this shrine, she thought about that little girl's empty eyes. She thought about her own reflection in the windows of the St. Louis Charity Ward, the same emptiness looking back. Sometimes the wrong place found you for the right reasons. She didn't know she'd fallen asleep until she woke to screaming. Annabelle clenched. You don't know me. No, but I know what it looks like when someone's running from the truth. She'd seen it in the mirror often enough. Your daughter just spoke for the first time in 4 years her mother being killed. Don't you think that deserves more than pretending it was just a nightmare? For a long moment he just stared at her. The lamplight carved shadows under his eyes, making him look years older. Get some sleep, Miss Hartley, he finally said. Come morning, I'm taking you to Fort Morgan like we agreed. Whatever you think you heard tonight, it ain't your concern. He walked back to his room and shut the door. Annabelle stood alone in the dark hallway, Lily's words echoing in her mind. He killed her. I saw him. Papa was sleeping. She returned to the dead woman's room and sat on the bed too wired to sleep. Outside, the storm howled. Inside, secrets pressed against the walls like living things. She hadn't come here for this. She'd come for escape, for a fresh start, for someone to tell her she was worth something despite being broken. But maybe she thought staring at the photograph on the dresser, the woman with kind eyes staring back. Maybe God did send people to the wrong places sometimes. Maybe wrong was exactly where they needed to be. When morning came, the storm hadn't broken. If anything, it had gotten worse. Snow piled against the windows in drifts taller than a man. The wind screamed like something alive and angry. Annabelle woke to the smell of coffee and frying bacon. She dressed quickly in the same travel clothes, ran her fingers through her hair, and ventured into the main room. Garrett stood at the stove, back rigid, stirring something in a cast-iron pan. He didn't turn when she entered. Coffee's on the table, he said. Food'll be ready in a minute. Thank you. She poured herself a cup and sat wrapping her cold hands around the warm tin. Where's Lily? Still sleeping. She usually wakes around 8. He brought the pan to the table and scooped scrambled eggs onto 2 plates. Eat up! Soon as the storm breaks enough to see we're heading out. Annabelle looked at the window where nothing was visible except solid white. That could be days. Then you'll be here days. He sat across from her and ate mechanically, not tasting anything. But the second there's a break, we're going. They ate in silence. The eggs were good, better than she'd expected. She wondered if he'd learned to cook before or after his wife died. Wondered a lot of things she didn't dare ask. A small sound made them both look up. Lily stood in the hallway, wearing the same oversized nightgown, hair even wilder than last night. She stared at Annabelle with those enormous brown eyes. Then she walked straight to her, climbed into her lap, like it was the most natural thing in the world, and buried her face in Annabelle's shoulder. Garrett's fork clattered to his plate. Lily, I'll say. I'll tell him. The girl's smile was small and broken, but real. Thank you. Garrett emerged from his room, dressed, and his expression shuddered. Storm's letting up, he said. We should go now before it gets worse again. Mr. Bishop, we need to talk. No, we don't. He crossed to the door and opened it. Wind and snow howled in. Get your things, Miss Hartley. I'm taking you to Fort Morgan. Your daughter told me what happened the night your wife died. His hand froze on the door handle. What? She saw who killed her mother. Annabelle stood, placing herself between Garrett and Lily. And it wasn't you. The door slammed shut. He turned slowly, face pale. What the hell are you talking about? Tell him Lily, Annabelle said gently. But Lily had gone silent again, eyes wide with fear. Garrett looked between them. Tell me what? So Annabelle told him, every word Lily had said. The man by the back door, the argument, the blood, the silver-toed boots, his brother's name. With each sentence, Garrett seemed to crumble. By the end, he'd sunk into a chair, head in his hands. James, he whispered. My own brother. She tried to tell you before, Annabelle said quietly. But the trauma took her voice. He looked up at his daughter, eyes raw. "Is this true?" Lily nodded, tears streaming. "Why didn't you—" He stopped, started over. "I thought you stopped talking because of me. Because I was drunk that night. Because I couldn't protect her." "Papa was sleeping," Lily whispered. "It wasn't your fault." Garrett made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. Then he was moving, crossing the room in 3 strides, pulling Lily into his arms and holding her like she might disappear. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "God, baby, I'm so sorry. I should have listened. Should have known you were trying to tell me something." Lily clung to him finally after 4 years letting herself be held by her father. Annabelle turned away to give them privacy, throat tight. This wasn't her moment. This was theirs, a father and daughter finding each other again across a chasm of grief and guilt. But then Garrett's voice stopped her. "Miss Hartley." She looked back. "Thank you," he said simply, "for hearing what I couldn't." She nodded, not trusting her voice. The storm raged on outside, but inside, something had finally broken. Not broken apart, but broken open, like ice cracking under spring sun. "I need to find James," at the counter, while Annabelle measured and mixed. The girl's small hands worked the dough with fierce concentration, tongue poking out between her teeth. "My mama used to say, you can tell a lot about a person by how they make biscuits," Lily said, punching the dough harder than necessary. "Gentle hands make gentle biscuits. Angry hands make tough ones." "What kind of hands did your mama have?" "Gentle. Always gentle." Lily's punching slowed. "Even when she was sad, she was gentle." "Was she sad a lot?" The girl's hands stilled completely. "After Uncle James started coming around more, yeah. She'd get this look on her face like she was somewhere else. And sometimes I'd hear her crying at night." Annabelle's stomach tightened, but she kept her voice casual. "Did Uncle James come around often?" "Every week almost. He'd bring Papa whiskey, and they'd sit up late talking. But sometimes when Papa fell asleep, Uncle James would stay. And Mama would go outside with him, and when she came back in, her face would be all red and her hands would shake." "Did you tell your Papa about that?" "I tried once, but Uncle James heard me and said I was making up stories for attention. Papa believed him." Lily looked up, eyes fierce. "But I wasn't lying." "I know you weren't." Annabelle covered the girl's flour-dusted hands with her own. "Sometimes, adults are very good at not seeing what they don't want to see." They shaped the biscuits in silence and slid them into the oven. While they baked, Annabelle heated water for laundry. She'd noticed Lily only had 2 dresses, the nightgown she'd been wearing, and a faded blue calico that hung in the wardrobe, both filthy with months of neglect. "When's the last time you had a proper bath?" she asked. Lily shrugged. "Papa tries sometimes, but I don't like it. The water's always too hot or too cold, and he scrubs too hard." "Well, I promise I won't scrub too hard. And after we'll wash your hair and braid it nice. Would you like that?" The girl nodded slowly, uncertain but willing. Annabelle dragged the tin tub in from the back porch and positioned it near the fire. She heated pot after pot of water, testing the temperature, carefully adding a few drops of lavender oil she found in a cabinet, probably left over from Lily's mother. Getting the girl undressed required patience. Lily was shy, folding her arms across her thin chest, clearly unused to being cared for this way. But Annabelle kept up a steady stream of gentle talk, and eventually Lily stepped into the tub. The water turned gray almost immediately. "Lord child," Annabelle murmured, "when did you last see soap?" "I don't remember." She worked carefully, gently, the way she'd bathed wounded soldiers who flinched at every decent women. Silver-toed boots flashed as he walked toward the door. James Bishop had come home. Annabelle's heart hammered. She checked the rifle again, made sure the door was barred, and waited. The knock was polite, almost friendly. "Garrett, you in there? It's James." She said nothing. "Look, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I heard some disturbing rumors in town about you asking questions. Figured we should clear the air, brother to brother." Still she stayed silent. "Come on now. Don't be childish. Let me in. It's colder than a witch's." He stopped. Tried the handle. "Garrett." One of the other riders spoke up. Maybe he's out checking fences. In this weather, not likely. James's voice had lost its friendly tone. Something's wrong. Annabelle heard them moving around the house checking windows. She backed away from the door rifle trained on it, praying Lily stayed quiet. Then James's voice came from right outside the window beside her. Well, well, looks like my brother's got himself a visitor. A lady visitor by the looks of that shadow. She froze. Ma'am, I'm James Bishop Garrett's brother. No need to be afraid. Just wondering where my brother's gotten to. He's not here, she called out, keeping her voice firm. And I'm armed, James laughed. I don't doubt it. Garrett always kept his guns loaded. But I'm not here to cause trouble, miss. Just family business. Then come back when your family's home. A pause. Then softer, more dangerous. Who are you? None of your concern. You're not from around here. I know everyone in the territory. His voice moved along the wall as he circled back toward the door. You wouldn't happen to be that mail-order bride I heard about, would you? The one that got sent to the wrong ranch? Her blood ran cold. How did he know about that? Stage driver in Fort Morgan likes to talk. James continued answering her unspoken question. Said he dropped a woman off here 3 days ago. Eastern lady looking to marry some farmer named Carter. He chuckled. But there's no Carter here, just my brother. So what I'm wondering is, what's a desperate woman with nowhere else to go doing in my brother's house while he's conveniently gone? I'm watching his daughter, Annabelle said, and I suggest you leave before I put a bullet in you. Lily. James's voice sharpened. Lily's in there with you. She's asleep, and she's going to stay that way. I need to see her. She's my niece, for God's sake. I haven't seen her in 4 years. And whose fault is that? Silence. Long and thick. Ma'am, James said slowly, I don't know what my brother told you, but winter. We'd freeze before we made it to town. Then we stay and fight. Annabelle looked at this small, fierce girl, this child who'd survived trauma and silence, and 4 years of grief, and saw herself reflected back. Broken, determined, refusing to give up. All right, she said. We stay and fight. They spent the rest of the night preparing. Annabelle dragged furniture against the doors, checked every window latch, loaded every gun she could find, the rifle, 2 pistols, an old shotgun missing half its stock. She had no idea if she could hit anything, but maybe the noise would scare them off. Lily helped without complaint, her small face set with determination. She knew where her father kept ammunition, which floorboards creaked, where the sight lines were best. Mama used to say I was observant, she explained. Said I saw things other people missed. Your mama was right. As dawn approached, they positioned themselves by the window with the clearest view of the approach. Annabelle held the rifle. Lily sat beside her with a cast-iron pan, not much of a weapon, but better than nothing. Are you scared? Lily whispered. Terrified, Annabelle admitted. Yeah, but less than before. Lily leaned against her shoulder. Because I'm not alone this time. They sat together, watching the darkness slowly turn gray, waiting for whatever came next. And in the distance, barely audible over the wind, came the sound of hoofbeats. Someone was coming. The hoofbeats grew louder, and Annabelle's finger tightened on the trigger. Wait, Lily whispered, pressing her face to the window. That's only one horse. She was right. A single rider emerged from the gray dawn light, hunched against the wind. Not James. Someone else. The rider dismounted and stumbled toward the house, and Annabelle's breath caught. She threw down the rifle and ran to the door, shoving furniture aside. Miss Hartley, don't, Lily called out, but Annabelle was already wrenching the door open. Garrett nearly collapsed on the threshold. His face was gray with cold, and exhaustion ice-crusted in his beard. Blood stained his coat sleeve. Get inside, Annabelle said, grabbing his arm and hauling him through the door. Lily helped push it closed behind them. James, Garrett gasped out. Cole found me on the road. Said Lily was dying. I knew. He coughed, wincing. Knew it was a trap but came anyway. You're hurt. Annabelle guided him to a chair, her hands already working open his coat. The wound wasn't deep, but it was still bleeding. What happened? Cole tried to stop. Who protects Lily? Maybe I don't care. Maybe taking you down is enough. You care. That's always been your weakness, brother. You care too damn much. James edged his horse forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to lower that rifle. We're going to ride to your ranch and have a civilized conversation about how to handle this situation quietly. No marshals, no public scandal. Just family business. No. Garrett, be reasonable. I said no. Garrett's voice was quiet but absolute. You're going to turn around and ride to Fort Morgan. You're going to confess to the sheriff. And you're going to let the law decide what happens next. James laughed, but there was no humor in it. The law's been paid off for years, brother. Why do you think they ruled Sarah's death an accident so quickly? I made sure of it. The admission hung in the cold air like smoke. Then I'll take you to Helena myself, Garrett said, at gunpoint if necessary. You're not taking me anywhere. James's hand dropped to his hip, and suddenly there was a pistol in his grip. Cole grabbed the woman and kid. They couldn't have gotten far. Cole hesitated. James, I didn't sign up for this. Covering up an accident's one thing, but threatening a child. Do it. Cole looked between the brothers' conflict clear on his face. Then he slowly shook his head. No, I'm out. This is too far. James's face went purple with rage. You spineless! The third man spoke up, voice shaking. I'm with Cole. This ain't right, James. None of it. Fine. James's voice went deadly quiet. Go. But if either of you talk, I'll make sure you hang right alongside me. Understood. The two men turned their horses and rode away without looking back. Now it was just the brothers alone on the frozen plain, guns drawn. Last chance, Garrett. Ride away. Take your girls and disappear. I'll leave you alone. You have my word. Your word's worthless. Garrett's aim never wavered. Drop the gun, James. Can't do that. Then I guess we're doing this. For a long moment, neither moved. The wind whistled through the space between them. Somewhere in the distance, a crow called. She looked up at him. I aimed at another human being and pulled the trigger. I wanted to hurt him. In that moment, I wanted him dead. He would have killed your papa, Lily said fiercely. You didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. I chose violence, just like he did. Garrett reached across the table and covered her hand with his. You chose to protect someone you love. That's not the same. The word hung between them. Love. Annabelle's breath caught. I barely know you. You stayed when you could have left. You defended my daughter. You put yourself between her and danger without hesitation. His thumb traced circles on her palm. That's love, Miss Hartley, whether you call it that or not. She pulled her hand away, heart hammering. I need air. She walked out onto the Madsons' porch and stood in the cold arms wrapped around herself. Behind her, she heard Garrett tell Lily to stay inside, then his boots on the wooden planks. I'm sorry, he said. I shouldn't have said that. You've been through enough without me pushing. I can't have children. The words burst out of her. I came west thinking I could hide that fact, pretend to be whole, but I'm not. I'm broken, Garrett. Damaged. And you and Lily deserve someone who can give you a real family. We have a real family. He moved to stand beside her, not touching, just present. A father who failed his wife. A child who went silent for 4 years. And a woman who survived a war and kept her humanity. That's what real looks like. Broken pieces that somehow fit together. Lily needs siblings. A normal life. Lily needs a mother who loves her. Everything else is just details. Annabelle turned to look at him. Really look. At the exhaustion carved into his face, the blood still on his coat, the way he held his wounded arm close to his body. At the hope in his eyes despite everything. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. He smiled slightly. I'm scared I'll drink again. Scared I'll fail you both. Scared that any day you'll realize you made a mistake staying here. What if we both made a mistake? Then we'll make it together. He held out his hand. Stay Annabelle. Not as a mail-order bride or a nursemaid or anything else. Stay as yourself, as family. She stared at his outstretched hand for a long moment. Then she took it. All right, she said. I'll stay. From inside the house came Lily's delighted squeal, and they both realized the girl had been listening at the window. She burst through the door and threw herself at them, wrapping her arms around both their legs. You're staying. You're really staying. Lost friends who were closer than brothers, and I didn't know how to live with it, so I drank. Pushed her away. Let my brother in when I should have. He stopped swallowing hard. I failed her. But you're not failing now. You're learning, growing. That's all any of us can do. They worked in silence for a while, sorting through the physical remnants of a life cut short. When they finished, the room was no longer a shrine. It was just a room ready for whatever came next. That night, Annabelle found Lily in the kitchen, laboriously copying letters onto a slate. Her tongue poked out in concentration, small fingers gripping the chalk too tight. What are you working on? Annabelle asked. Writing Mama a letter. Lily didn't look up. Mrs. Madsen said sometimes it helps to write things down even if you can't send them. Annabelle sat beside her. What are you telling her? That I'm sorry I couldn't save her. And that I'm not sad anymore. Not all the time anyway. She finished a word and blew on the slate. And that you're here now and Papa smiles again and everything's going to be all right. Oh, sweetheart. Annabelle pulled her close. Your mama knows. Wherever she is, she knows and she's glad. You think so? I'm certain. She kissed the top of Lily's head. Because if I were her, if I had to leave you behind, I'd want nothing more than for someone good to find you and love you the way you deserve. Lily twisted to look up at her. Do you love me? The question was so direct, so vulnerable, that Annabelle's throat closed, but she forced herself to answer honestly. Yes, I love you completely. Even though I'm not really yours. Especially because you're not really mine. You chose me, Lily. Out of everyone in the world, you chose me. That makes you more mine than blood ever could. Lily buried her face in Annabelle's shoulder and cried not the desperate, wrenching sobs from before, but soft, healing tears that spoke of relief and release. When Garrett found them later, curled together on the bench, with the slate abandoned on the floor, he didn't interrupt. Just covered them both with a quilt and sat nearby, keeping watch while his two girls slept. As I need to stop acting like you're going to disappear any day now. Are you acting like that? Maybe. He rubbed his jaw. Probably. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For you to realize what you signed up for and run screaming. I didn't sign up for anything. I got sent to the wrong ranch, remember? Exactly. This whole thing was a mistake from the start. You were supposed to marry some farmer named Carter, not get tangled up with a widower and his traumatized kid and a murder trial. He looked at her finally. I keep thinking any day now, you're going to wake up and want the life you planned. Not this one. Annabelle turned to face him fully. You want to know what life I planned? I planned to marry a stranger and keep house for him and be grateful he was willing to take damaged goods. I planned to hide who I really was and pretend the war didn't happen and swallow every feeling that wasn't convenient. Her voice shook slightly. That was my plan, Garrett, and I'm so damn grateful I ended up here instead. He blinked. You are? Yes, because here I don't have to hide. Here I get to be angry and scared and broken and real, and nobody tells me to smile more or try harder or get over it already. She grabbed his hand. Here I get to matter. Not because I'm useful or convenient, but because I'm me. You've always mattered. Not like this. Not in a way that feels true. She squeezed his fingers. So stop waiting for me to leave because I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying, Garrett. I'm staying and I'm planting gardens and I'm raising your daughter and I'm building a life here whether you marry me or not. His breath caught. Whether I wait, are you proposing to me? I'm telling you how it is. The rest is up to you. For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then he started laughing deep, genuine laughter that shook his shoulders and brought tears to his eyes. What's funny? Annabelle demanded. You are. Showing up at the wrong ranch in a blizzard, saving my daughter's voice, shooting my brother, and now proposing marriage like you're discussing the weather. He wiped his eyes. God, I love you. The words hung between them, raw and real. Say that again, Annabelle whispered. I love you. He cupped her face in his hands. I love your stubbornness, one careful choice at a time. The next morning, Annabelle woke to voices in the kitchen. Women's voices. She dressed quickly and emerged to find Ingrid Madsen and two other ranch wives sitting at her table drinking coffee and talking with Garrett like they owned the place. There she is, Ingrid boomed. The bride, come sit. We have plans to make. Plans? Annabelle looked at Garrett, who shrugged helplessly. Lily rode to our place at dawn to announce the engagement, said Martha Green, a thin woman with kind eyes. Woke up the whole household. Ingrid sent her sons to spread the word, and now half the territory knows. That child has no sense of propriety, the third woman said, but she was smiling. I'm Dorothy Pike. We haven't met properly, but I've heard all about you. You're the one who shot James Bishop. In self-defense, Annabelle said quickly. Best thing anyone ever did for this territory. Man was a blight. Dorothy pulled out a chair. Now sit. We need to talk about your dress. I don't need... Every bride needs a dress, Ingrid said firmly. You will not marry in your day clothes like some desperate widow. We will make you beautiful. I have Sarah's dresses, Annabelle said hesitantly. Maybe I could alter one of those. The room went quiet. Martha and Dorothy exchanged glances. You're sure? Martha asked gently. That's a big step, wearing a dead woman's clothes to marry her husband. Sarah was his first love. I can't erase that. Don't want to. Annabelle looked at Garrett, who was watching her with something like wonder. But she's gone and I'm here. Maybe wearing her dress is a way of honoring that. Of saying we're all family, past, present, and future. Ingrid's eyes were suspiciously bright. You are a good woman, Annabelle Hartley. Sarah would approve. She stood decisively. All right then, let us see these dresses. They trooped into Sarah's old room and Annabelle opened the wardrobe. The women examined each dress carefully, feeling fabric, checking seams, discussing alterations. This one, Dorothy said, finally holding up a cream-colored dress. Is that okay? That's more than okay. That's perfect. They stood together looking at Sarah's face, and Annabelle sent up a silent prayer to a woman she'd never met. Thank you for making him kind, for raising this beautiful girl, for leaving enough love behind that we could build on it. I'll take care of them. I promise. The morning of the wedding dawned clear and bright, the sky so blue it hurt to look at. Annabelle woke early, too nervous to sleep, and found Garrett already up dressed in his best suit pacing the porch. You're going to wear a hole in those boards, she said. He turned and his face split into a smile. You're not supposed to see me before the ceremony. It's bad luck. I think we've had our share of bad luck already. I'm not worried. She joined him at the railing. Having second thoughts. Not even first thoughts. About 100 thoughts, but none of them are second ones. She leaned against him. I'm just scared I'll trip or say the wrong words or somehow mess it up. You won't. And even if you did, I wouldn't care. He kissed the top of her head. We're already married in every way that matters. Today's just making it official for everyone else. Still, I want it to be perfect. It will be, because you'll be there. They stood together watching the sun climb higher until Ingrid's wagon appeared on the horizon, followed by a dozen others. The invasion had begun. The women swept Annabelle away to Lily's room, where the altered dress waited. It fit perfectly, the cream fabric glowing in the morning light. Martha had added new lace that made it look fresh, not recycled. Dorothy braided Annabelle's hair with wildflowers woven through. Ingrid applied a touch of rose salve to her lips and cheeks. You're beautiful, Lily whispered, wearing her own dress, the gray one they'd altered together with new ribbons at the waist. Papa's going to cry. Your papa doesn't cry. He cried when I spoke the first time, and when you shot Uncle James. He'll definitely cry when he sees you in Mama's dress. She was right. When Annabelle stepped out onto the porch where the ceremony would take place, Garrett's eyes filled with tears. He didn't try to hide them, just let them fall while he stared at her like she was a miracle. The preacher, an itinerant minister who traveled the territory, cleared his throat. "Shall we begin?" 60 people crowded into the yard softly. Every single day they're working on it. Lily's breathing evened out. They sat for a few more minutes watching her sleep, neither wanting to be the first to leave. Finally, Garrett stood and offered his hand to Annabelle. She took it, and he led her down the hallway, past her old room, past his room, to the door at the end. Sarah's room. Their room now. "I moved your things in this afternoon," he said, "while you were getting ready. Hope that's all right." More than all right. But her heart was hammering. This was real now. This was marriage with all its vulnerability and intimacy and terrifying permanence. He must have sensed her fear because he squeezed her hand. "We don't have to. I mean, we can take our time. There's no rush. I'm not afraid of you." She turned to face him. "I'm afraid of disappointing you." "That's not possible. You don't know that. I don't know how to... I've never..." She stopped, frustrated with herself. "The war took a lot from me, Garrett. Not just my ability to have children. It took parts of me I can't even name. What if there's not enough left?" He cupped her face in his hands. "Then we'll make do with what's there. And I'll tell you a secret, I'm missing parts too. We all are. That's what living does to people. It breaks off pieces." "But you loved Sarah completely. She got the whole version of you." "No. She got the version I was then. Young and stupid and full of myself." His thumbs traced her cheekbones. "You get the version I am now. Older, sadder, but maybe a little wiser. Maybe that's better. Maybe we're better because we know how quickly everything can disappear." She kissed him, then pouring 4 months of longing into it. His arms came around her solid and sure, and when he lifted her and carried her inside, closing the door behind them, she wasn't afraid anymore. They loved each other slowly, carefully learning the landscape of scars and tender places. When it was over, they lay tangled together, listening to the house settle around them. "I love you," she whispered into the darkness. "I know." He kissed her forehead. "I've known since you shot James. Maybe even before that. That's a strange moment to fall in love. You saved my life. Hard not to love someone after that." He was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "That surgeon was probably right at the time, but the body heals in unexpected ways, Mrs. Bishop. Scar tissue can soften. Damaged organs can regenerate. It's rare, but it happens." He smiled gently. "I'd say you're living proof. But I could lose it." Fear gripped her throat. "If the damage is still there, if my body can't..." "You could. Pregnancy is always a risk, especially given your history." He met her eyes. "But you could also carry this child to term and deliver a healthy baby. There's no way to know except to wait and see." Annabelle walked out of his office in a daze. Garrett caught her when she stumbled, his strong hands steadying her. "What did he say?" She couldn't speak, just shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "Annabelle, you're scaring me. What?" "I'm pregnant." The words came out in a whisper. "I'm pregnant, Garrett. It shouldn't be possible, but it is." He went very still. "You're sure?" "The doctor's sure. He said my body healed somehow. That it's rare, but not impossible." She looked up at him. "I'm pregnant." Garrett let out a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob and pulled her into his arms, holding her so tight she could barely breathe. Oh God, Annabelle. I'm scared." She clung to him. "What if I lose it? What if my body can't? Then we'll grieve together. But if you don't lose it, if this child makes it..." He pulled back to look at her. "We'll have a baby. Our baby. Are you happy?" She searched his face. "I know you said Lily was enough, but..." "I'm terrified and amazed and so damn happy I can barely think straight." He kissed her hard. "You're giving me something I never thought I'd have again. A future that doesn't just survive, but grows." They told Lily in the wagon on the way home. The girl's face lit up like the sun. "A baby. A real baby. I'm going to be a big sister." "Maybe," Annabelle cautioned. "It's still early. Sometimes babies don't stay." "This one will." Lily's confidence was absolute. "God sent you here to be my mama. Now he's sending a baby too. It's all part of the plan. You sound very sure. I am sure. I prayed for a brother or sister every night for 2 years. Mama said it probably wouldn't happen, but I kept praying anyway. She grinned. Guess God was just waiting for the right mama. Annabelle started crying again. Happy tears this time, and Lily crawled over the seat to hug her, while Garrett drove them home. It would probably turn the same gray as her father's. Hello, little one, Annabelle breathed. Hello, my impossible girl. Can I come in? Lily's voice came from outside. Please, I want to meet her. Garrett opened the door and Lily crept in, eyes huge. She approached the bed slowly, reverently, like approaching an altar. She's so small, Lily whispered. You were this small once, Garrett said, lifting her onto the bed beside Annabelle. Want to hold her? Lily nodded, and Annabelle carefully transferred the baby into her arms. The girl held her new sister with fierce concentration, supporting the head like Ingrid had taught her. Hi, baby, Lily murmured. I'm your big sister. I've been waiting for you for so long. She looked up at Annabelle with shining eyes. What's her name? Annabelle looked at Garrett and he nodded. They'd discussed this privately late at night when Lily was asleep. Sarah Grace, Annabelle said softly. After 2 strong women. One who left behind more love than she knew, and one who taught us how to receive it. Lily's face crumpled. You named her after Mama. And after you. Grace for the grace you showed us choosing to love again after so much loss. Lily Grace was Mama's full name, Garrett added. Our daughter carries both of you, past and present, all of us together. Lily cried into the baby's blanket, careful not to wake her while Annabelle stroked her hair and Garrett held them all. We're a family, Lily whispered. A real family. We always were, Annabelle said. From the moment you spoke, from the moment you chose us. But yes, now we're complete. The weeks that followed were exhausting and beautiful. Sarah Grace was a good baby as babies went, but she still needed constant care. Annabelle was sore and tired, learning to nurse, learning to function on no sleep. But every time she looked at her daughter, her impossible, miraculous daughter gratitude overwhelmed everything else. Lily was a devoted big sister, always wanting to hold the baby, sing to her help with changing and bathing. She'd sit for hours, just watching Sarah sleep, marveling at her tiny perfections. She has your nose, Lily announced one afternoon. She has her father's nose, Annabelle corrected. No, yours. See? It turns up at the end. She traced the baby's face gently. And she has my chin. Well, Mama's chin. But I have Mama's chin, so it's mine too. She's a little bit of all of us, Garrett said, coming in from the barn and dropping a kiss on top of Lily's head, then Annabelle's, then the baby's. That's what families do. Mix together until you can't tell where one person ends and another begins. Winter came again, the year turning full circle. On a cold December evening, exactly 1 year after Annabelle first knocked on their door, they sat together in the front room. Garrett in his chair reading, Lily on the floor playing with her wooden animals. Annabelle in the rocking chair nursing Sarah Grace, while the fire crackled and snow fell outside. Do you ever think about it? Lily asked suddenly. About how you came to the wrong ranch? All the time, Annabelle said. Do you wish you'd gone to the right one instead? Annabelle looked around at her life, at this room, that had once been a shrine, and was now a home, at this man who'd learned to love again, at this girl who'd found her voice, at this baby who shouldn't exist, but did. No, she said firmly. I don't wish that at all. Why not? You could have married that Carter man, had a different life. But I wouldn't have had you, or your papa, or Sarah Grace. She smiled. Wrong isn't always bad, sweetheart. Sometimes wrong is exactly where you need to be. Garrett looked up from his book, eyes soft. Sometimes the best things come from mistakes. I wasn't a mistake, Lily protested. No, but us finding each other? That was a beautiful mistake, the kind worth making. Sarah Grace finished nursing and fell asleep milk-drunk and content. Annabelle held her close, breathing in that sweet baby smell, and thought about all the paths that led here. The war that broke her. The agency that sent her wrong. The storm that trapped her. The child who spoke. The man who learned to hope again. Every wrong turn had been right in the end. "Read to us, Papa," Lily requested, abandoning her toys to climb onto his lap even though she was getting too big for it. So Garrett read while Annabelle rocked, and the baby slept, and the fire kept them warm against the winter cold. His voice filled the room with stories of adventure and happy endings, and Annabelle thought how strange it was that their story had started with no happy ending in sight, just survival, just getting through one more day. But survival had become living. Living had become family, and family had become everything. When the story ended and Lily's eyes drooped closed, Garrett carried her to bed. Annabelle laid Sarah Grace in the cradle Garrett had built with his own hands, then followed him back to their room. Sarah's room, once theirs, now transformed by time and choice into something new. They lay together in the darkness, his arm around her, her head on his chest. "Do you ever miss the life you thought you'd have?" she asked quietly. "No. That life was already over before you came. Sarah was gone, Lily was silent, and I was drowning." He tightened his hold. "You didn't save me from my past. You gave me a reason to have a future." "We gave each other that," she corrected. "All of us. We saved each other. Maybe that's what family really is. Not people who don't need saving, but people willing to be saved together." She kissed his jaw. "I love you." "I love you too." He was quiet for a moment. "Thank you for coming to the wrong ranch. Thank you for letting me stay." They fell asleep like that, wrapped in each other and gratitude, while their daughters slept safely down the hall and snow covered the world outside in fresh white possibility. And if sometimes in dreams, Annabelle heard a woman's voice whispering thank you on the wind, if sometimes she felt a presence gentle and approving, watching over them all, she chose to believe it was Sarah finally at peace, knowing her family was whole again. Not the same family, but a good one, a chosen one, a family built from broken pieces and wrong turns, and the stubborn refusal to give up on love. The kind of family worth every mistake it took to find.